If a person runs from police, they crash out, and they leave their cell phone in the car and run away from it, is that cell phone abandoned? Hey guys, my name is Anthony Bandiero. I'm an attorney and senior legal instructor for Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training. Bringing you to the roadside chat. All right, this question comes from an officer in Ohio. He says, we had a suspect run from a car pursuit. They wrecked into a pond. I can kind of picture this. And they left their phone. Now, the phone was, on the dashboard, and it had GPS coordinates. So they're using it as a map. And the officers want to know, hey, if we, because it had a destination. So what if we go in that car and we move the map around to see what their destination was? Maybe that's where they're running to and so forth. Can we do that? And if we do that, would that be a search? And if it's a search, would we have crew, consent, a record exception, or a warrant? So the first thing is, let's talk about abandonment. Abandonment is not concerned about possessory interest. It's concerned whether or not the person should really legitimately expect privacy in the container search. It's not about possessory interest, it's about privacy. Now, when the person ran from the police, crashed out his car, and ran away from the car and left all those contents behind, knowing that the police were hot on his tail, did he abandon the car and the contents therein? The answer is going to be yes. He should not reasonably expect, not subjectively, in my view, okay, you can disagree with me on this, but not subjectively, he should not subjectively believe that the contents in that car are not going to be searched by the police. But even if he did expect the some kind of privacy, it would not be objectively reasonable. So that is a type of search, right? A reasonable expectation of privacy. He would not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in that car or the containers therein. And a cell phone is a container of digital information. But Anthony, there's also another search out there. You taught us about trespass. Trespass is when you physically intrude onto a protected area with the intent to gather information. Here's the problem. If the car is still abandoned, then it's not protected, right? You cannot trespass against me if you search my neighbor's car. It's not my car. I have no possessory interest, no privacy interest in that vehicle. That's an example. So that's a good example of abandonment. Now, what's funny about this is, okay, fine, but they still own the phone, right? If they go to jail and we search the phone and they get out of jail, can they get their phone back? Yes, because they own it. But that's because they have a possessory interest in the phone. They have a right of title to the property. But remember, abandonment under the Fourth Amendment is not about who owns it. It's about, should you expect privacy? Let me just give you an example. A cop is running his canine on luggage in the airport. Now, the piece of luggage is on the nodes, whatever, the area behind the wall, behind the secure area, and he runs the dog alerts. Okay, he doesn't search it because he can't search it with those facts, not yet, and he lets the piece of luggage go to the carousel. A guy picks it up, he starts walking out. The handler makes contact, probably without the dog, right? Hey, how you doing? I'm a interdiction officer, just kind of making sure our airport's safe. Small talk. Hey, can I search your luggage to make sure you have nothing illegal in there? And the guy looks down, he says, wait, whoa, that's not my luggage. And the cop says, that's not your luggage? You just grabbed it off the carousel. Well, they do look alike. And the cop says, well, your name is on the luggage. You told me your name is John Doe. Well, there's John Doe on the luggage tag that is taped to the handle. And the guy says, well, what are the odds that, that this other John Doe has a piece of luggage that looks like mine? And the cop says, so not yours, huh? He says, nope. The cop searches it, finds evidence against the person, because it is his luggage, arrests him accordingly. Was that luggage abandoned? And the answer is absolutely yes. Yes, he should not expect privacy when he has disclaimed ownership with those facts. But yet, with 100% certainty that is his luggage. It has his name on it. He grabbed it from the carousel and so forth. And of course, we'll prove later that he had that luggage. That's what I mean by possessory interest versus privacy. Now, going back to the phone situation, we do know under Riley versus California, a Supreme Court case from 2014, that cell phones are highly protected. Very, very protected. The Supreme Court recognizes that the modern day cell phone is a repository of all your life secrets. In fact, you will know more about a person by looking through their cell phone than going through their house and looking in their drawers. So there's going to be a lot of private information on a cell phone. However, as a case, State versus Brown, 2018, from the South Carolina Supreme Court, we know that cell phones can still be abandoned despite Riley saying that they are highly protected. You can abandon anything, right? At Blue to Gold, when we teach these classes, we like to say a person can abandon anything except one thing: their kids until they're 18. Everything else is on the table, right? Including a cell phone. Now, there's one last thing I want to tell you about searching a cell phone before you leave. I want you to think about exigency. Even if there was a judge out there that just disagreed with me, disagreed with the case law that's out there, and said, I still think that the person has expectation of privacy. Would you still, nevertheless, have agency to search the phone, to try to find that final destination, to start heading that way because that may be where he is heading? The answer is yes. So exigency searches are not full-blown searches like under abandonment where there's no holds barred. But when it comes to exigency, you're looking for, you're trying to, handle an emergency, right? So here you would only be looking for their location or who they are. I mean, that would be fine too. I have no problem looking at their Facebook account to try to find out who the profile is. But you're not looking, through financial records. You're not looking in their folders on their phone. You wouldn't be doing that because that's not going to help you catch the guy while he's escaping. All right. Hope this helped. If you like what we're doing around here, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Also, do not forget that for our cops and our prosecutors, we do a free webinar every single week on Zoom, totally free, comes with a certificate. Just go to bluetogold.com and sign up. Okay? All right, until next time, my friends, you stay safe.